AskReddit by AskReddit Viper X. What is something Nsfw you've done but if you told anyone they would probably never want to talk to you again? I had an orgasm while running away from an angry chihuahua when I was 8 years old. No ejaculating, just the sensation. I spent the rest of that summer trying to get that chihuahua to chase me. There's gotta be something to this, because my first orgasm was in elementary school when I was supposed to run in a race and forgot, and then everyone yelled at me to go run right after it started. Got a weird rush and a very confusing feeling down there. It was years after that when I got my first intentional one. I had to laugh so hard that I peed in an elevator because I couldn't hold my laughter. There was a stranger with me going 20 floors up. The entire elevator was full of piss. I was 12. OMG, I was hanging out with friends in middle school at our school during a soccer game. We fucked off to play around in the gym and I laughed so hard that started peeing my pants. I sat down on the ground, still laughing, then pretended like I noticed I sat in something wet. My pants were soaked in pee, and when I got home my mom was like, "Why the hell are you covered in pee?" I have no idea if my friends realized the truth, but no one ever said anything. I wanked on a rooftop with a thrill that someone might come upstairs. Luckily no one came. But I was caught on CCTV. When you say no one came. At 16 I stole a fleshlight from a local sex store, then drove off not being able to wait to use it. I used it while driving and actually finished, but post-nut clarity set in. I threw it out the window into what I thought was some woods, but I looked last second to have an image burned into my mind. The image of a used fleshlight exploding onto a gravestone from a cemetery at 45 miles per hour. Reality set in then. Oh my god. This one does it for me, dude. Someone probably found a completely obliterated pocket pussy in the graveyard in the daylight, perhaps near their loved one, and surely had a moment of just what the absolute fuck happened here. Deleted. I think you should find a partner who is good with tying knots. Could be of help given your interests. Between the ages of 12-16 I used a hand puppet cow. Your parents definitely found it and threw it away, LMAO. The first time I masturbated I was at a friend's house. He was passed out in his bed with the TV on and a Girls Gone Wild infomercial came on. I was never told what to do, but I just started stroking. Again, no one had told me anything about it, but as I approached my first orgasm I kept letting off BC. I thought it was gonna be this. I must have edged myself for closer to an hour. I finally just thought fuck it and let it happen. When I started inspecting I kept looking over to my sleeping buddy and went to the bathroom. I really thought something was wrong with me. So Anthony, if you're reading this, I'm sorry I masturbated in your brother's bed. I had to get it in, bro. Edit. I'm glad my sexual awakening made some people laugh, lol. I'm a 45-year-old man. I live in a co-op apartment building in New York City. I worked on a building beautification project with a fellow resident about 6 months ago. I'm guessing she's about 30 years my senior. All during the project we shared a lot of laughs and formed a comfortable friendship. At the end of the project, she invited me to her apartment for dinner. We shared some great conversation and a lot of wine. At some point while I was talking, she put her hand over mine which I was resting on the table. She leaned in for a kiss and I reciprocated. We had sex that night. It was good sex too. A week or so later she called me up and asked if I could change a light bulb in her ceiling. It was a pretext for us to have sex again. Since then, we've established a relationship where she texts me requesting some help, I go over to her place and we have sex. If I told an IO, I think this one is just sweet. Who cares what other people would think? You're both consenting adults enjoying yourselves and I wish you lots of fabulous sex. I had to go bad and felt my inner colon paining. I ran into the supply room and shit in a box. It was horrible. Smelled so pungent too. I dumped a bunch of random stuff inside and taped the box closed and carried it out like I was getting needed supplies. Well, Thank you for getting rid of it. Much more considerate than other people. I cut a hole in my mattress when I was a kid and tried to fuck it. Hit the bed springs on the first stroke. My dick just curled up back into my body upon reading that. Early 80s had a 6th grade teacher that was physically, emotionally, and verbally abusive. She would make us go get glasses of water for her during class. When it was my turn, I would get water out of the toilet and spit in it. Considering I was a very shy, quiet kid, still surprises me I did it. Had a staff sergeant in Iraq that was too lazy to go get food. He always complained that the food was too hot and salty. It's hot and salty because you're a piece of shit with salty soldiers who put tons of salt and hot sauce in your food. One hot sweaty day at the shop, I used the blue chalk for the snap line to powder meatballs. Couldn't take the sticking anymore. Now my most upvoted comment. Couple answers. Yes, it worked. Being a white guy, my junk looked a lot like a Smurf though. Normally I'm a gold bond guy, but my work bottle was out. I have to wear full FR. It was about 98° F and matching humidity. There is no AC in the shop. Would def do it again. Oh, glad you used the blue chalk. I've had the red chalk mixed in a puddle and set leather bag on it. Over the course of a week it ate holes through the leather. Peed on some random dude for money. Was the random dude the one who paid you? Not me, but my ex-GF shoved a curling iron up her cooch and didn't clean it, ever. She told me her sister used it the next day. Glad I broke up with her, I should have seen the signs. Maybe you linked to the girl that talked about how she masturbated a curling iron in here lol. Had an ex-boyfriend who liked it when I used my Minnesotan accent and bedded it a few times, and now the thought of it makes me shudder. Ufda, there's the spot, dearie. This is the biggest cock I've ever felt on a scone, Don Chakno. You do need to hurry up and finish though. Oh yeah, top my tater. My best friend had sex with his Mr. Snuffleupagus stuffed toy. His nickname for 20+ years has been Snuffy Fucker. I feel like we should let people live these things down. My little brother did this with a Bugs Bunny stuffy as a kid, and we mocked him for years. I feel bad. Till it's a pretty common thing for kids to do. When I was a young teenager, I used to jack it to a JCPenney's catalog, yes, even the maternity section. It developed a kink. This was before smartphones, and my dad was really good at hiding his Playboy. Sears had some good stuff too, back in the 80s. Paid for watched my co-workers on Liffins Live lol. Did you know she had one before you watched it? My first time ejaculating was when I was playing The Sims 2 after discovering that the blur disappears when you used Movie Objection and pull your sim out of the shower. Would make hot and attractive sims just so I could see them naked. Tracy Morgan taught me how to jerk off. When I was 12, he had a stand-up special on Comedy Central. One joke he told was about waiting for his wife and kids to leave the house so he could whack it in peace. He used the microphone to mimic the act. I had come before that, but never on purpose. When I saw him doing that, it was like a light bulb went on in my head. I immediately went upstairs to my bathroom and discovered my new hobby. I used and abused my friend's fleshlight. I had to throw it away and I never told anyone. To this day his friend doesn't know what he did wrong for his fleshlight to leave him. I used to come onto the inside of a pair of boxer shorts so my GF at the time could wear them to work and rub herself while standing behind the bar. Her thing and I don't judge. How does the convo around that go? Like by could you jizz here so I can keep it for later? You ever heard tales of the kid in middle school that jacked off under his desk? Edit. I'm so glad this is my first comment to get seen by thousands of people. Truly inspiring. Yeah, I don't think you realize how little that narrows it down. I personally know at least 3 guys and 1 girl that did that in my year alone. When I was 15 and heavily addicted to WoW, I was like 8 hours into this 14-hour marathon and thought fuck it. Made a female NE, stripped down somewhere in the starting area, made her dance and jerked it. Never told a fucking soul that one before. I used to play Siphon Filter on the PlayStation and there was an area where you're interacting with a female colleague. I accidentally shot her once and she made a noise more like a sexy moan than horrific pain. She'd take a lot of shots before you actually killed her, ergo, a lot of sexy moaning. Then as a young man who unexpectedly hears sexy female moaning coming from a video game, I acted accordingly. Literally repeatedly shot this woman for my own gratification. Not my proudest moment. When I was young, dumb, and very horny, I fucked a soccer bopper. With no lube. Thankfully nobody ever used it anyways. Edit. To everyone asking, it probably would have been better than a pillow fight if I had known what lube was at the time. But I did not, so it was not. There was a thread on Reddit yesterday that was what's one thing you wish could come back. That's been run out of production, non-existent anymore. My comment was soccer boppers. Now I'm not too sure. When I was in middle school and had a Nintendo DS and no porn or internet, I would draw boobs on PictoShit and jack off to them. I paid for WinRAR back in 2006. That there is a lot to unpack. Deleted. An elementary school? When I first found out about masturbation and how sex worked, I tried to fuck a stuffed animal. Still am ashamed about it to this day, lol. No, I'm not a dog. Edit. Thanks for silver. Who knew fucking a stuffed teddy bear could be so popular? Edit 2. A stuffed animal worth its weight in gold. Thanks for the awards. This seems like something a dog would say. I had a girlfriend in college who had a cum fetish. She would jerk me off into her toothbrush and sit there and keep it in her mouth while we watched Dr. House Save Lives on TV. A few times she jerked me off into her food. That was weird. I saw her on Facebook a few years ago. She sells bath bombs and stuff like that. I wouldn't buy from her though. I had an ex-girlfriend that would suck my dick and finish me on her chocolate chip cookies. Fun times. I spent a couple years at university in the UK and during a weak financial summer set up an escort account online, quickly learning most women don't hire escorts, so spent the summer doing gay for pay, getting fucked mostly by over 50-year-old married men. Did you make good money?